Hey guys, what's up? It is the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and I know it's late. I know I'm late, but yeah, lately I've been pretty busy doing my revision, and you know what? I'm just gonna do an album review of the latest posthumous Mac Miller album, Circles. So Mac Miller, or Malcolm James McCormick here, he is a rapper, also a singer-songwriter who had been in the industry for quite some time now. He started off being a pop rapper and then later on became an abstract rapper and then continued to evolve into neo-soul singer, alternative R&B singer. And even though he has quite a variety of musical styles, admittedly his last couple of records are a little disappointing. They are inconsistent, not as exciting, and not as beautiful or as memorable as well. But I have to say, Mac Miller had came out with a number of really good songs in the past decade as well. We have the song 100 Grandkids off of the album Good AM, which is still one of my favorite songs of the decade, ending up in my top 100 songs video, not in the top 100, in the honorable mentions, but still, that's a great song that I constantly go back to. And in September 2018, he tragically passed away due to overdose. And yeah, it is heartbreaking, it is tragic. And he came out, I guess, well, his record label and the producers working with him and for him came out with this album Circles earlier on this year 2020. And wow, I am impressed because this album is unlike anything I've heard from Mac Miller. This album is way more stripped back, way more bare, less hip hop, more singer songwriter, more neo soul, more alternative R&B, I guess. And this is the most artistically realized Mac Miller album, and it is consistent. It has its funky, happy moments, like on his last couple of records, but at the same time, it's way more beautiful, way more emotional, and such a great send off. So we have the title track of the album as the album opener, and it is a pretty humble, quiet, low-key opening for the album, which sets the tone for the album really well. It's so soft, it's beautiful. We get some quiet, smooth guitars and some really beautiful, intimate vocals. I just really like that the producers toned down the instrumentals a lot, making it more bare, more skeletal, just to make Mac Miller's voice shine so much better. And even though, in my opinion, it's a pretty uneventful opening for the album, it still sets the tone for the album perfectly, leading up to the second track, Complicated, which is a really relaxing and funky song with some easygoing, laid back synths, some fat kick beats, and a really, really nice set of melodies. Mac Miller basically singing neo soul on this track, and the sampling is rather simplistic, it is rather minimal, and it is a pretty relaxing and sleepy song that has a really. And more than that, Mac Miller's vocals on this track are very weary, they're tired, but yet at the same time, it's beautiful, it's moving, and it's engaging, and it just, I guess, makes the album sadder, the listening experience sadder, not necessarily making the music sadder, and again, sets the tone perfectly. And then we have the third track, Blue World, which is more lighthearted and fun. The instrumentals are especially fun on this track. We get some stuttery, relaxing beats, which goes together with the vocals really well. And it's another really solid song with solid production, solid singing, and overall, just a really great song. And then we have the fourth track, Good News, which I personally love even more. We get some warm, heartfelt, plucky guitars, some really beautiful, sad lyrics about loneliness and isolation, while Mac Miller sort of half singing, half rapping these lyrics on this track. And yeah, listening to this song after his passing is quite tough. And it's a really beautiful song, really moving, really tear jerking in my opinion. And then we have the next track, I Can See, which is even slower, even quieter, and even more subtle. Maybe not many people will enjoy this song, but me personally, I love this song a lot. This is one of the standout cuts on the entire album, where we essentially get a layer where we essentially get layers of very ethereal, serene synths that are incredibly dreamy and surreal. And it's really incredibly beautifully arranged. And for the lyrics, Mac Miller sort of questions his reality, asking people to show him something that he can see, which is beautiful and ethereal in a way. And also at the 2 minute 30-second mark, you can actually faintly hear Ariana Grande's vocals in the back, sort of harmonizing with Mac Miller, and that is just incredibly beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. We also have the song Everybody, which is the first song on this album that really clicked to me. Certainly one of the highlights on the album. And even though it is only a cover song, I prefer this version over the original. This song is a beautiful driving piano ballad with very stark, morbid tones. The introduction is very theatrical, and we get lyrics about everybody's gotta live, everybody's gonna die. And again, after Mac Miller's passing, it is very tough to listen to these lyrics, but I just really hope that he's still here to see how successful and how great this album is. And then we have Woods, which is also a very slow and subtle song, but also one of the highlights on the album. We get some very smooth and easygoing drums, but on top of some groovy, but also at the same time gloomy instrumentals that are, again, surreal, dreamy, serene. And this track is about a relationship sort of dissipating, and it's really heartbreaking, but it's also at the same time very beautiful and gorgeous how Mac Miller sings on top of these serene, light, pillowy instrumentals that are really easygoing into the ears. We also have the track Hand Me Downs, which is this very beautiful and summery song performed with some raspy, weary vocals. The guest feature on this track is a great addition onto the track, in my opinion, as well. And the rap verses in the middle of the track is very lyrical. In a way, it's very impressive, way better than the rap lyrics on his last two albums, the Swimming album and the Great Feminine album. Yeah, I don't know why Mac Miller just upped his lyrical game on this track. And this track is about, hand-me-downs, jeans, but also not only the pants jeans, but also genes, genetics. And that's kind of funny, but that's also very heartfelt and beautiful. And we also have That's On Me as the next track, which is a very sweet, warm, and cute track. And it's this mid-paced waltz track that I guess doesn't shine as much as other tracks on the album because it's a little bit sluggish. It drags on for a little bit, but still, I appreciate the production of the track. The next track, Hands, is also one of the highlights on the album, in my opinion, one of my favorites, where we get some incredibly dreamy and surreal instrumentals on top of some interestingly sampled beats. And on top of it, we get some sleigh bells, which gives this track a bit of festive feel, but I guess more importantly, gives it a light, fluffy, pillowy weight, which I absolutely enjoy. And Mac Miller's flows on this thing are very animated, they're very concentrated at the same time, and very impressive as well. And then for the second to last track on the album, we have Surf, which is a very beautiful ballad with some nice vocal harmonies and layered vocals, even though the track feels a little one dimensional, feels a little bland, but still great production, and not bad at all. And for the ending of the album, we get Once a Day, which is a pretty quiet and low-key ending for the album, sort of throws back to the opening for the album, aka the title track, which is incredibly subtle, intimate, quiet, but also beautiful and low-key. And it's not a bad ending, but I guess it isn't the ultimately preferred ending for the album. But still, can't think of a better way to end off the album other than with a really warm goodbye. And I'm just really impressed with this album overall. And there really isn't much to say about this album other than it is a very solid, very coherent, beautiful, gorgeous, sometimes dreamy and surreal, sometimes funky and relaxing album that is very impressive. My favorite track here is probably, that's a very great question. Um, it's either Everybody or Hands, personally speaking. And my least favorite track, I guess if I have to pick one, is the last song. I am feeling an 8 out of 10 on this album. Yes, a decent 8. So, have you listened to the latest posthumous Mac Miller album from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching. Also, I will be reviewing the latest Poppy, Selena Gomez, Halsey, Jack Boys, I guess Stormzy, maybe Megan Trainor, Kesha, maybe Grimes whenever she drops the album, Square Pusher, and I'll look for something to review.